Welcome in, everybody, to our first college football breakdown of 2024 with the panel here. I got a quick one in last week with the three-gamer on Saturday. We've had a few appetizers here on last night, Thursday night, and tonight. But now we get into the real kickoff, I would say, on Saturday with the full 12-gamer main and then both the night slates. So something we're looking to do all this year is have this three-man panel here. I think it gives a lot of back and forth. So you guys might remember Josh from the NASCAR show, and then we've got DOB chiming in from looks like Ohio State, but we won't hold that one against him. We've got quite the so we've got quite the diverse fan base here. We've got a Mountaineer from West Virginia, and the funny part is all three are on the slate here tomorrow. So we've got Ohio State, we've got West Virginia, and the Hokies. All three here.
What that was.
So, what's your guys' initial thoughts? Y'all ready to get the season kicked off?
I cannot wait.
Absolutely. I mean, what more can you say about the Buckeyes spot right here? There's, if you can get it right, I mean, you'll be doing better than most there. But there's some interesting spots here. Taking a little gander here. So let's get it going.
Yeah. So we hope to do this time slot sometime on Friday nights throughout the season. We're going to go game by game. We're going to skip over some teams or games as a whole that we don't have any interest in to keep it somewhat short, so we don't go on rambling forever.
What?
If you guys haven't tried us out, we've got a link in the description of the video that'll take you to all of our packages. We've got about 11 sports if they were all in season. Of course, NFL coming back next week. And then, tons going on with soccer, NASCAR, of course, college football. Plenty to get access to, so check us out there. We've also got a 15% off discount code for Ship It Nation. They've hooked us up with that. They have college football content as well, so be sure to check that out. And they cover pretty much all the same sports that we do. So nice price-wise that you can probably swing both for a lot of people. And it's probably cheaper to have both of our content than to have some out there in the industry based on some of the prices that I've seen. So check that out. The links are down below in the description as well. So before we get into game by game, kind of wanted, since it's the first one of the year, wanted to talk about some lineup construction stuff as it pertains to cash versus GPP on larger slates, which we haven't, we had a solid number of games on Thursday, but most all of them we only had interest in one side. Whereas here we might, have a little more back and forth. So do you all have any high-level thoughts on cash versus GPP? And then we can also talk about some contest selection for a typical Saturday for just kind of talk in general about what types of contests we all play individually.
Me personally, I do a lot of the $5, $12 single entries, and then real big into the multipliers. For me, lineup construction in those usually attack theoretically, a high game total, very easy, keep it simple. And then for the secondary stack, I like to try to attack a closer game that they're going to be battling the whole time, maybe a slight underdog. It just depends slate by slate, honestly, and finding, in my opinion, the best spots we're going off of last year's projections, and it's kind of a free-for-all, if you will, and only can go by hearsay and beat reporters and this and that. So first couple weeks are just the feelers. I don't go too heavy unless I really love the spot and slate. So for me this week, just high totals, finding that right sweet spot of, again, it's going to be competitive and the starters are going to play basically the whole game and get you where you need to be. Is kind of how I look at the first week here.
I actually agree. I'm taking it light for the first time at the start of football season, and I can, as long as I can remember, I'm only in the $5 and down, and I mean I'm in the multis. In the multis, I'm in 2 is what I'm in. So both $5 singles and like the $4, I got 2 entries in those. The $6, 2 entries in those. I'm trying to take it super easy this week, which is not like me, but I lost my butt at the beginning of last football season, so we're not going to do that again. We're gonna take.
I mean, this is definitely the time of year to go light.
Yeah.
It's easy, especially like next week with NFL.
Exactly.
It's easy to dive really, really hard into the contest, and it's not the best time of the year at all to be doing that. As far as I'll talk a little bit about lineup construction. I think you kind of hit that one. Cash, the top, kind of.
Little dang getting you there.
Yeah.
He's popping in. He loves it.
He wants to hang out with one of the boys, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
What is it they say? Saturday? Yeah. Oh, wait, it's not
for the
Saturday.
boys.
We're talking about Saturday, though.
The Lightning McQueen shirt on, too. I love it.
So, lineup construction, like you said, high totals, back and forth games we like. In GPPs is when and you'll notice this if you guys have seen the cores, cash versus GPP. I'm not worried at all about eating the chalk in cash. When it comes to tournaments, especially in single entry is most of what I play, similar to you guys. And in single entry stuff, I'm fine eating chalk, and most of the time we're always playing 2 quarterbacks. But in the first stack, I have no issue eating some chalk, and then in the secondary one, definitely like to get off the board slightly. Doesn't have to be a 1% guy, but a little bit down the board. Just maybe a spot that we can find, and like you said, it varies slate by slate. Contest selection this week, like y'all said, $5 single, $12 single. The $1 20 max is always a good one. And then I'm really intrigued by these college football world championship contests this year. They've had the online final for those for the last few years, but this year it's actually a live final in Arlington. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
I didn't even know that.
I think it's 100 qualifiers, 100 qualifiers for the initial, and it goes down some every week. Kind of in the final. So it gets down once it gets down to 10 people, then that it's a live final. So
I look into that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking at it right now, trying to find that contest. So
yeah, there's some 20. There's some 21s. I mean, they have bigger ones, but there's 21, 54. And then I think there's in the hundreds.
Wow. Yeah, definitely going to be entering in some of those. Not tomorrow, but definitely a cool contest to think about there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm probably going to incorporate the 21 for sure in the bankroll at least.
That's what I was thinking. Said there was a
for the week.
I might enter that tomorrow too.
Yeah. So let's get into the game. So I'm going to switch through, and we've got. Let's see. So just on the high level, looking at odds, there's not a lot of massive totals on the slate. There's only a couple really low totals. So there's nothing that stands out to me in terms of totals per game. But as we dive in, we'll definitely talk about some of these are one-sided, so implied points may differ quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the first one we've got is Clemson and Georgia. It's a 12-point favorite in Georgia at a 48.5 total. Initially, I don't have a ton of interest in this game. There's a couple spots, and both of them for me would be in the backfield with Branson Robinson, who is in play for me for sure. If Trevor Etienne sits, he was arrested in the offseason, and word is that he's probably going to be suspended for this game, but we need to watch that. SEC, and Aaron mentioned it in the chat in our Discord yesterday, SEC's got the mandatory inactives and stuff this year, so maybe we can watch for that tomorrow morning.
There's also $2,400 price difference between two of them too.
Yeah, and we don't have neither one of these teams, I don't think, released a depth chart. So that's one downside. We don't really know for sure that it's Robinson. But that would be my lean, and I think he's definitely in play under 5K, even if there is a split here.
Yeah, I mean, Nate Frazier looks like projected 8 points. So that'd be huge value play there.
Yeah, and I'll the only other guy that I would say in this game for me, I'm staying away from the passing games for the most part, but Phil Maffa is cheap enough that even in a super tough matchup, I think if you were playing like 20 teams, I think I could get to him in one or two. But single entry, I'm not going to get anywhere near him. I'm going to get a drink really quick.
Yeah, same for me. Completely crossing out Clemson. The only interest I would have, I'm not paying up for Carson Beck at 9,100, just not for me.
Nope.
Depends on the ETN news. Both other running backs are in play for sure. That's about all I have on that one. The next one, I'm sure Dane is going to have some words to say about Mr. Drones, but we'll let him lead off his Hokies in style here.
I got a crying kid, but hopefully this will work out.
We can come back to the Hokies.
Yeah, we're all right now, right? No.
I'll send you some Benadryl.
Let's skip down. We'll give Josh his time to shine here, and then we'll come back.
Oh, here we go.
West Virginia is a 7.5-point dog at home against Penn State. Go ahead, take it away.
So the thing about this game is all day today and the afternoon, the rain was going to hold off until after the game. Well, I just looked right before we got on here, and the rain's going to come about 1:30, 2 o'clock. So that changes everything from a fancy perspective. You're going to focus on – you're only going to have a half a game for the passing game on both sides. And, I mean, honestly, don't get me wrong. Do I want West Virginia to win? Do I think they're going to win? Yes. But do I expect it? Absolutely not. I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Penn State's a damn good team. So for me, if I play anybody from this game, the rain might keep me off this game. But if I play anybody, it's going to be probably the running game. And maybe Garrett Green because he can run. And I don't even know if I'm going to get there. And I bleed gold and blue, everybody. But I care about money more.
I don't have hardly anything here. I have Singleton on the Penn State side highlighted as a tournament play.
Yeah.
And Kaytron. Kaytron and Singleton is the only people in play for me if I was multi-entering. Just not at all interested in this game. So
I will say this. If I won't go out of my way to get him, but if I happen to need a second running back or a flex and can move running back down to the flex at a later game, and I have 4,800, 5,000 left, I wouldn't mind playing CJ Donaldson because last year, at the end of the year, he was not healthy. He is healthy this year. All reports are coming out of practices. He's 100% healthy, 100% ready to go. Yes, he's going to be in a timeshare because obviously I'm having a brain fart here. Good Lord. Obviously, Jaheim White. I knew it was White, but I couldn't remember his first name. Obviously, he's a stud. I mean, they're both studs, but against that defense, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a hard game. I don't see very much fantasy potential there. But if I happen to land on C.J. Donaldson, it wouldn't bother me. Put it that way.
Yeah, the thing I'll say about the game that stands out slightly to me is I think the total is a little higher than I would have expected. Both teams are projected into the 20s. It's like a 30 or 29-21 implied score. I mean, maybe if you were really throwing a bunch of teams out there, you could do a green to one of these receivers or play a Tyler Warren on the other side even. But I don't have a ton of interest here in single entry stuff.
All right, you're up, Hokey boy.
So Tech travels to Nashville to play Vandy, 13.5-point favorites, right at a 50 total, 48.5. Probably one of the maybe two of the chalkiest plays on the entire slate are actually on our side, which I hardly ever say. Drones at 8,300 and Tootin at 65. Both are very, very good plays and a great matchup that they should be playing from ahead. Very strong finish to the year, really, for this offense. They kind of found their stride with Drones once he was given the keys early to mid point of the season. And they return everybody. So that's the big thing for Tech is their entire offensive line comes back. I think 20 of 22 starters on both sides of the ball come back. They get Ollie Jennings back from who was out pretty much all year with injury last year. He's 5,600. He's going to be my number one if I was pairing him with anybody with Drones, but you definitely can play him by himself. Drones, that is. Jennings, he transferred over last year and was hurt all year, but he's a playmaker. So he had 2 touchdowns in the first 2 games before he was out. And I think he definitely could come in at 56, and I wouldn't pay $1,000 more for Felton. The reason he's priced so high is because he was the touchdown guy last year. And Jalen Lane is kind of the safer option at 58. But I think there's so many mouths to feed. I'd rather take the cheaper option there with Jennings, who has big playability.
What do you know about this Gallo fellow?
I mean he's fine. I think both the Gosnell brothers are solid plays as well, but I'm not going to get to any of that in this. If I was playing like 150 teams and I was playing a ton of Drones, which I would be, maybe you could start to mix in all these guys. But I think on this slate, there's so many underpriced receiving options that we'll get to. I don't really think you can. I would probably play Drones by himself in cash and more than likely by himself in tournaments too. So.
Like it.
But Jennings would be my favorite. I have nothing on the other side.
Nothing to add. Nailed it. Everything I was going to suggest and say. So let's keep it rolling.
We got DOB on Tech early in the year. We're on a good stride already.
Yep. That's right.
Vandy's an X for me. They do get Pavia, who transfers in, but
where from, like New Mexico State or something?
Yeah, he was a runner last year. He ran for almost 1,000.
I remember those late slates at New Mexico Lobos or whatever.
Yeah.
You're trying to get all your money back from?
Yeah, whatever they are.
Yeah.
So Kent State, Pittsburgh, interesting here. We were kind of talking about it before we went live. I know, all jokes aside, cash is cash, Josh, but Pitt is interesting. I don't think they're priced correctly for their matchup here. Definitely in play for a secondary stack and value stack all the way around with Eli. And, I mean, you got to start off with that Mumpfield guy. I mean, just for that price, you can get to any other studs that you want there. And even that I think it's Desmond. Yeah, Desmond Reed, running back. Kent State, Mac School. I don't know what to expect. They can either
Horrible.
be
They're horrible.
horrible or just come out running and gunning like, some action on Tuesdays, which we're going to come up on here soon. So, Pittsburgh, I really like for a secondary stack in cash.
It's so hard.
I mean,
to say
they're very, very cheap.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I have no problem playing them for money. I mean, it's a different deal.
Yeah, you do.
But no,
That hurts your soul.
I'll say this: if I play them and I don't cash, then I'm going to hate them even more, which is kind of hard to do. But at these prices, I didn't even look at them because I didn't care. At these prices, though, I mean, this is insane. Does this Mumford dude really get 20.6% of the target share at $4,800? That's insane.
Yeah. So the other thing to mention with this team is a brand new scheme coming in, and they're transferring over to the air raid. So this is not the same Pitt offense either. So they're gonna. I think that the coach comes from Western Carolina, who played NC State last night. And they chuck it. So they're going to throw. And this quarterback transferred in from Bama. I mean, he was only there for a year, didn't have a chance to play. So who knows what they're going to get out of him. But I think they definitely could pay off these tags. And then the thing in the backfield, too, is Rodney Hammond was deemed ineligible. So
for the whole
Desmond
year.
Desmond Reed at 46 should be the lead guy. He was already going to be the 1A in this backfield. They were an or on the depth chart, and it was said that Reed was going to be the lead man in the backfield already. Now he doesn't even have competition for the one spot. And he's only 4,600 in a matchup with a team that went 1-11 and average or gave up 35 a game last year in the MAC. I might add.
I cannot believe I'm going to say this, but that almost seems like an absolute must play. I mean, seriously, air raid offense. This price tag allows you to do so much with it with so many other people.
Now you see why we were talking about him.
That hurts my soul. That hurts my soul. My mom is like, my mom doesn't even know I'm doing this right now, but she's cussing me. I promise.
All right, so we got that one. Next game, Connecticut's cross off for me.
Bye. I'm not playing anybody on either side.
Nope,
I mean, Maryland. Maybe if you're definitely multi-entering, there would be some interest in the Maryland side, but very, very few. I mean, Felton is okay, and that Caden,
we don't even know who's playing quarterback either.
I would stay away from there and just attack the receivers if anything. If I landed on one, I'm fine with it, but not for me. So next,
just hope Billy Edwards isn't the one throwing him the ball because 33% completion in his 30 passes last year. He can run, but he can't throw. All right. Yeah, next. Oklahoma State, South Dakota State. This is actually a pretty close spread. South Dakota State won the FCS last year.
I like it.
Oklahoma State is a 9.5-point favorite at home. Should
fishy.
keep the game close.
Fishy.
Pretty much everybody returns for Oklahoma State. You've got Ollie Gordon back. You've got the entire passing game back. Massive workload last year for Ollie Gordon. Don't expect that to change this year, and I think the game stays close enough that he gets full run. So the passing game is also underpriced, really. Here, Bowman is never an exciting guy to play, but he's somewhat safe, and he's 7K. Doesn't run a ton, but he could definitely get there. And we know Presley and Owens, how solid they are. And then Stribling, who was out a lot of the year. Was he here last year, or was he still at Washington State?
I thought he was at Washington State. Yeah, I remember on those late slates there that I just happened to look at his name there. didn't even pay attention he is there now. So interesting.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if he transferred in and got hurt or if he did. So he played 4 games for Oklahoma State last year,
Oh,
and then
okay.
got hurt. So he really didn't play a whole lot. But he's there, should be back. But Presley is one of the better receiving options on the slate at 68 just because of volume here. Same thing with Owens, very solid, and he's only 52. It'll be interesting to see if we can fit Ollie Gordon. I think we can. You would think he's going to be just massive chalk, but I don't think he gets above 35,
At that price,
40%, somewhere in there.
I don't see that at that price. But maybe, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. That's a lot for a running back this year.
There's a lot of good running backs on the slate, and 2 of them being cheap with Reed and LaQuinn Allen, who we'll get to in a bit. There's not a lot of good quarterbacks, to be honest. I could even see maybe playing 4 running backs in tournament.
Yeah, I'm not spending. I'm not spending up on QB this week. Looks like so. Yeah, running back spend up, receiver.
And then QB I know you have DOB. You have some interest in South Dakota State. A couple guys, there's maybe run backs.
Yeah, I mean for the price, I've played worse. Just the line seems too fishy to me. Only a 10, well 9.5 to South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits, I know they're decent for who they are, but they're just fundamentally sound usually. First game of the season, we've seen it multiple years. It could be an upset alert. Just something seems off to me personally. So I'm okay with going to either the Johnson brothers there, and even the Griffin Wild if you think they're going to be playing from behind as usual. The Wild is not too bad either. So that's about it. All I have for that one.
I don't mind that. Yep.
Yeah, definitely some plays on both sides in that one. We got Colorado State and Texas. One side's a little bit of a different look for Texas. 34-point favorites implied for 47. Viewers returns, different looking backfield as it's kind of you had one leave for the NFL. Baxter got hurt in the preseason, which leaves Jaden Blue at 6,200. Probably another one of the really good running back options on the slate.
Yes.
And then the receivers, you've got Isaiah Bond, who transfers in, and you've got DeAndre Moore, who's only 3,200 and should be, a solid option for this offense as the year goes along.
Where did Bond come from again?
I think Bama.
Bama, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. I knew it was Bama or Georgia. I couldn't remember right off.
Yeah, so kind of a completely different looking receiving core with Worthy gone. What was the tight end's name? I'm blanking on. He's in the NFL. Whittington's gone too, but there was I don't know why I'm forgetting the name. Anyway, a completely different looking offense other than Quinn Ewers for this team. Brooks was the back. It was Jatavian Sanders. The big dude that kept hurting his ankle all year.
Yeah.
But you've got Silas Bolden transferred in as well. He was at Bama too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Jonte Cook is a big play guy who I think was there. So you've got a lot of options for Texas. This is not really the spot that I want to get to that passing game a whole lot, just because I don't think the volume's going to be there when they're projected to win by this much. But the touchdowns could go to them early over Jaden Blue. So that would be a pivot, but I would side with the Blue. option there with the backfield. On the other side, you've got Torrey Horton, who's a massive target hog for this offense, returns with the same quarterback. But man, this is a horrific matchup. The only thing that's going to get him there is volume, and I don't know that I'll get to him on this slate. What do you guys got here?
There's 13 implied points. You can't play yours because you have no idea how long he's actually going to play. Maybe a half, maybe. If they go up by 28, 30, 32, half. No way. You can't play. Blue, I can see playing. I agree with everything you said, honestly.
I'm going to add the value plays for Texas. I think this game is a blowout. We'll see the Gibson and the Wisner guy, for a half. So wouldn't be mad if I landed on them for value plays. And like you said, the receivers interest me. They're not a priority at that price because of the blowout potential. But on the other side, the Torrey Horton, I'm definitely interested on that. 6,900 is a little more than I'd like to pay for him, but he's not a priority either. If I was multi-entering, that's kind of my mindset with how I would go about that.
Yeah, I like that Wisner call. I would rank him above the South Dakota State option, Amar Johnson. Good game script. I mean, they're definitely, with the injury that they've already had to Baxter in the backfield, they're not going to run. They're probably not running Blue into the ground here. So I like that call. Battle down in Florida of Miami and
big one.
Florida. So 2.5. This is probably one of the better games, watching wise, of the slate, with a 2.5 point favorite on the road being Miami, with Cam Ward transferring in from out west with Washington State. He's a guy that I've always had interest in DFS, and he burned me a few times last year, but man, he had big upside with his legs. And he comes into, I think this offense is going to be pretty sneaky this year. They've got him coming in. They've got Damian Martinez from Oregon State, who transferred in. Still a couple good backs behind him, and Fletcher and A.J. Allen. And then you've got Restrepo and Jacoby George still there as well. And you've got Samuel Brown, who transferred in from Houston. I think this offense will be solid. In the context of the slate, it's not one of the easier matchups. I mean, they are projected still for 4 touchdowns. I think they win this game. And Restrepo is probably one of the top wide receiver options on the slate in my eyes. I just don't know that I'm going to be able to get to Ward at 9K or anybody else here on the Miami side.
This is one of those games that it's going to be competitive the whole way, and that projection of 4 touchdowns apiece could be a sneaky play on the Miami side, like you said, the Cam Ward, Restrepo, and then where did Martinez transfer in from again? Was it
Oregon State?
Oregon State, yeah. Definitely some interest on that side. I know it's in the swamp. Mike G's probably gonna, chime in here soon too. But I like the Canes.
Stack the Braves.
Yeah, stack the Braves, all that BS. But sorry, Mike G. I'm on the Canes side. The way they're gonna come into the swamp and hurt your feelings, but we'll be all right.
I have to be honest. What's this? Chamari, is it Dyke? Chamari Dyke at 3,300?
DK. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 3,300.
I can't ever back a team if you put a team quarterbacked by Cam Ward versus a team quarterbacked by Graham Mertz, it's like a no-brainer in my eyes. So that's where I feel in that one. Florida could be in for a horrific year, like not that they're a horrible team, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that their schedule is like the hardest in college football, and this is like one of their most winnable games. And I think they lose it.
I think the 3 is, kind of because of where they're at in the swamp. I think it should be a little bit more closer to a touchdown. So I really like Miami money line or the spread here. So
yeah, I do too. Now, as far as DFS on the Florida side, Montrell Johnson, he should be the workhorse back for them. This is, again, not a great matchup, but he should get a lot of work at 5,700. Eugene Wilson is pretty expensive for me on DraftKings. If you were playing on FanDuel, that 7,400 tag's quite cheap, really, for him there. He should be the lead guy. And then DK, like you mentioned, Josh, is only 3,300, and he was at Wisconsin, right?
I have no idea. I just saw.
And he's only 3,300. So,
I mean, come on.
So I think there's some interesting plays on both sides.
Yeah.
If you were really, if you were multi-entering a lot of lineups, like more than 20, I would probably get to a stack of this game where you do something like Ward, Restrepo, Montrell Johnson, or Ward, Restrepo, Wilson, or DK, or something like that. I don't know that I'll get to that in single entry stuff. All right. Now, here we go. DOB, Ohio State, and Akron. Akron's an X. Ben Finley, good grief. Ohio State.
Four implied points, really? Hey, come on.
Talk to me about Chip Kelly, DOB, and tell me what this offense is going to do this year, because I think Will Howard is a massive step up from what they had a year ago. The guy we're going to get to here in a bit. In a couple games with Kyle McCord.
Wow.
I think
I can't believe
a massive step up. And also, talk to me about these two additions to this team, Judkins and Jeremiah Smith. Talk to me about those two guys specifically.
If you can figure them out, you've got it made. I think Will Howard, like you said, is a massive step up. Judkins, Travion, I heard Travion was a starter, but I mean, I just see 1A, 1B, whoever gets in the flow and rhythm of the game and with their style, and that's who they're going to use. I mean, Chip Kelly, he's, I think, an excellent coach now. Hated him before, but I'm interested in this Jeremiah Smith character.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh like that. I'm sorry.
I think Jeremiah Smith is one of my favorite plays. Excited to watch him. Buka.
Yes.
Buka, Tate, Smith, I kind of like as a trio more than I've liked our receivers in the past, honestly. I think they're underpriced, Tate and Smith. So if I was multi-entering, I would honestly try a 3-man stack of them just to be different, because I think they all have the potential to break the slate. But Judkins, Henderson, both in play. I don't know much about Peoples. I haven't heard too much, but in a blowout, he could get some action. So Jeremiah Smith is definitely going to be in my core, and I'll probably pair him with Tate and leave my favorite Buka out in cash, because it allows me to get to basically whoever else I want, with like Ollie or who we talked about earlier, and then who we'll talk about coming up, in the Syracuse game for value. But that's kind of how I see the game and the plays I'll have there. So if you have anything to add.
Yeah, so we've loved Judkins for the last couple of years, and I think he emerges as the number one guy here. I think it'll be a split most all the year, but I think it'll end up being where he's the 1A by the mid to end of this year. And then I think we're going to look at this in like 5 weeks, and
FanDuel
Jeremiah
thing.
Smith is going to be like 7,500 to 8K for the rest of the year.
The person that is pricing at DK needs kind of fired because this guy is going to be electric. He's going to be on the Sports Center top 10. So go ahead and mark that down.
Yeah. So I think Howard is definitely in play here too. He can run. He's not a run first guy, but he can get you. I mean, he ran for 9 touchdowns last year. So he can do that if he needs to. And I think the pairing with Jeremiah Smith is, we see it all the time early in the year when big recruits or anybody going up against these that has talent is going up against teams like Akron. They just murder, and the first time they really struggle is when they get to tougher games later in the year, and then they break through that at some point. But I don't think we, of course, see him struggle here when this team's projected to score over 50. So Jeremiah Smith, I really, really like him with you for tournaments especially. But 5,400, I think he's in play.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton Smith, that trio there, man, that's deadly. You can't double team either one of them without sacrificing the other big play to the other two. So it's going to be an interesting season with trying to contain the backfield with those studs and then those 3 receivers. So I'm pretty excited about.
I mean, heck, you got rid of Chip Trainum, who couldn't run through anything down the interstate. And then you replace it with like one of the best running backs in the country with Judkins. Like it's going to open up this passing game a lot. So the next game I have absolutely nothing in. We're not playing somebody in a 39 total.
No.
I don't play anybody ever in a Northwestern game. All right, now we get to Syracuse, and here's where I think they should fire whoever made these prices. You've got LaQuinn Allen, 5,100, who, I mean, look at the touches that he got a game last year. He was getting 19 carries and 3 receptions a game. So you got a guy getting over 20 touches going up against Ohio here as 17.5-point favorites, projected for over 30. And then we don't even stop there. We move to Andre Gadsden, who, if anybody was playing best ball to start the year, people are drafting this guy around number 30 overall, and he's $3,500. So, and I just talked down on Kyle McCord, but passing game wise, he's a step up from Garrett Schrader, and I think Gadsden has a very solid year. So 3,500 is absurd for him. Those are probably 2 cash locks if you're playing that. Definitely Allen, and more than likely for me, Gadsden would be too. But really like both of those plays. Not getting to anybody else in this game.
So hang on real quick. I'm going to interrupt. Taking it back to your game, Josh.
Yeah.
You might have a transfer. You've heard of him from Buckeyes that's on Penn State now. It's his name is Julian Fleming. So you might want to watch him tomorrow when you're, at the game, tailgating and all that. Just had to throw that little jab in too.
Listen, I'll be putting money on West Virginia money line. It ain't gonna be like thousands of dollars, but it's gonna be 25, 50, maybe 100 depending on how much beers I have. But because West Virginia's been known to upset in situations like this. I ain't saying it happens all the time, but it does happen.
Upset your feelings and what?
What's that?
Upset your feelings.
My feelings? I don't have feelings, man. Come on. Come on.
But
I like
Yeah, I mean, on that note, though, Penn State doesn't have any receivers, and they have, that's something I think they're going to be missing. And if Fleming steps into the, projection for his career that they thought he was going to at Ohio State with this team, he could really be the guy for them as the year goes on. So, yeah. What is he priced? Like six something?
6,500, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's
even
way
less.
too much for here.
6,000 actually.
I was gonna say with literally the thunderstorm that's coming, that's way too much.
Yeah, 6 is too much for me this early in the year until I know he gets the work that I think he should. That's all for me in Syracuse. You got those two really good options, and the rest is junk in that game.
Next.
Last game, Nebraska, 27.5-point favorites against UTEP. I have nothing for UTEP. And then Nebraska is somewhat interesting because they are going to score points, and they get a transfer, Dylan Raiola. I think he was transfer, or is he a true freshman? That shows how much I know. But he was going to either he was at or was going to go to Georgia.
Oh, really?
And he comes to Nebraska to be able to play. So maybe you guys know that better than I do. But 8,200, he can run a little bit. He can throw. I think they definitely let him do that here, even if they get ahead. He's got Jamal Banks, who transferred in from, I think, Wake Forest. He was very solid for them in a loaded receiving core when he was there at Wake. And behind him, you've got Isaiah Nayer, who he was with somebody out west. Was he with Wyoming? So he's got, he was with Wyoming and then Texas, where he didn't really play last year. And now he comes to Nebraska. He was solid at Wyoming. But I think there's a couple things to look at there. You've got Raiola, who doesn't have much experience, but he's got two experienced receivers that should lead the receiving core. So I think this could be a sneaky late hammer in tournaments for Nebraska, who's going to put points up. And it's just a matter of, does it go through Raiola?
I'll take my chances and fade it because Nebraska just
like I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Historically, they're not going to score 38, 40 points. Sorry. I maybe see him scoring 24 points, but it's just not for me and single entry. So I'm completely out on both sides of this game in my single entry.
I agree 100% with DOB. Now, if Nebraska proves it to me and their prices go up too much later in the year, I'll gladly jump on the bandwagon. But the first week of the year, I can't do it.
If they burn me, I'm willing to take that risk, but not for me on this one.
Yeah, so this guy is a true frosh, and he was the top.
So he's going to be pissing down his leg.
This guy is 18, 19 years old, has no idea how good his life is right now. No idea.
No. Top quarterback recruit in the country, played prep football in Texas and Arizona, and then last year he played in Georgia. And then ended up back at Nebraska, where his dad was a center there in the late 90s.
A center? Like SINNER or
center.
Yeah. All right, let's go to
Yeah, so the last thing we want to do is look at the top, the DK stack tool, show you guys what that is. If you haven't seen it before, like
Because
Josh,
it's one
who
of a
just
kind.
showed that here before, as we got
It was there. It was there the entire year last year. I didn't even look at it like an idiot. Didn't even look at it.
So just an overview at what this does. You've got team information here. So this column C is for the team that we're talking about, who they're playing, some odd stuff. Then as we get in here, this is talking about double stacks. So the best stack, it's choosing which combination, if you are double stacking, is the best. And then it's looking on a projection standpoint, what is the best point per dollar on the entire slate of a double stack. Then you have out to the right each player, so you can see who is the wide receiver one, because we just have it coded as wide receiver 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4. So you can go out and see who that is. And if you were just gonna stack a team, you could look out just like you can on the team matchups tab and just look at the specific receivers to see point per dollar who would be the best one. Number one right now in best stack is Pitt, who we talked about, best point per dollar. We talked about how cheap they were. I think that makes a lot of sense. Mumfield and Williams, they were 1-2 in projection, and they're 1-2 in point per dollar. You can see that stack is 14,000. How cheap that is. So after that, it goes Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Florida is actually up there. That's surprising to me. It's probably because of the DK price.
Yeah.
Texas, and then Virginia Tech. Anything that stands out to you guys there?
Pittsburgh. I mean,
makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah, Pittsburgh.
I mean, how can it not stand out? I mean, you just pair the QB and your favorite receiver, and
then go do whatever you want the rest of your lineup.
Yeah, I would say what I end up doing with them is playing instead of two receivers. Well, I mean, you can play two receivers for sure in an air raid, but play the quarterback and one of those guys and the running back, because I probably don't want all four. I think that the running back's in a really, really good spot to be the lead guy. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. But before we get out of here, what we want to do at the end of these shows is talk about a top stack that's a little bit off the board that all three of us have. We don't want to probably overlap. And then a top player individually at any position that's a little bit off the board. So I'll let you guys go first. I don't know, what is ownership looking like for these?
Hell, boys, I didn't know we were going to do this. I'm not ready.
I think their ownership is somewhat not that bad. Yeah, Mumfield's under 15. Williams is around 15.
For Pitt?
Yeah. That might bump up some, but we'll let DOB go first. I think we already know his top slightly off the board stack.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite play receiver wise on the board is Jeremiah Smith. We already talked about running back. I'll give you, we definitely talked about him, LaQuint Allen, but top off the board stack. I kind of like the honestly the Cam Ward Restrepo for off the board. Yeah. So that'd be mine.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what you got there, Dane. Give Josh a couple extra minutes there.
Yeah, so there's a couple options. I mean, we all like Pitt, so we'll just kind of take them off the board.
Yeah,
That
I
would be
mean,
all of
that's
our. I don't
yeah.
think they're going to be super owned, but I still think we all like them, so we'll give one more. There's a couple ways that I could go with this. I think the Nebraska stack is interesting there at the end with Raiola, and just hope he is what everybody thinks he is. And you pair him with Banks or one of those receivers. And the other one, it's not really a off the board deal, but as a pairing, I think it will be, is Drones and actually playing Jennings with him, who I don't think anybody's going to play. And then you have access to that offense and take it even a step further than what most everybody's going to do there.
Interesting.
So mine's going to be a little bit different. Mine's going to be a game stack with running back. And I'll tell you why. If the Rams is coming here tomorrow, the points got to go up somehow. Right? So you're not going to throw the ball. You're going to play Singleton with White or Donaldson coming back the other way. I mean, that's where my head's at. Is it? You said off the board. You didn't say. I mean, come on, that's off the board. Nobody's doing that.
That is off the board.
It's off the board. The points have to go up. I mean,
we sound like such homers when I gave a Tech stack as being my off the board, one of them, and then you give a West Virginia game stack.
But you know why though? Hold on. It works because it's the first week of the season. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's all.
Just stack your team, cheer, and drink some beer, and move on.
Team cheer, have a beer, and just have a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. So who was our favorite one player off the board? It can be at any position. I think DOB, yours was Jeremiah Smith. He's only 6% projected right now. So he's yours. Is your one guy, is yours Donaldson, Josh?
Honestly, I want to say White, but Donaldson is freaking $1,600 cheaper. You could do so much more with $1,600.
He should be 3,000.
Either one, Singleton and White or Donaldson. Honestly, either one.
I'll give one more, or one more here would be. For me, there was a guy I just passed him a minute ago. Where did he go? I'm not going to give Ollie Jennings, even though I do like him. Where did he go? There's who it was. It was Branson Robinson, because I don't think people still will go there at running back because there's so many other good plays, and everybody's just used to the rotation of the Georgia backfield. But if ETN is out, I think Branson Robinson is very live.
Okay, I like that. Another $4,800. So cheap. You can do so much with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here. That was a fun one. We'll be back next week to do this again, hopefully, and we'll keep it going through the year. Let's have a good start to Saturday, full college football. I will have all of my ranks up probably late tonight or early in the morning. Probably late tonight because when EPL is going on too, it takes like half the morning. So probably have rankings, notes, cores up tonight and ready for the morning. So good luck to everybody this week. Any last words?
Cheers, Taters. Good luck, y'all.
Well, same time, whatever.